we're still here. We're going to do a little more while I'm here. Moses, the Outlaw, 2. I've always wondered, when did he find out about all of this? I would like to think it was about the time he left the grand life of the crown prince for a dirt path in the desert. Most would think that a man died while in an altercation, and Moses, he fled for fear of being punished. However, this is the story, but the detail of why he helped this random man against an Egyptian who was required to obey. The truth is that Moses was very strong, raised by the king himself. He stepped in between two men to stop an altercation. However, his strength was so vast over these men that when he struck one of them, he died immediately. Now, just after this act, he leaves his life. Now, we all believe that it was because he feared the consequences of his actions. However, the prince of all of Egypt and a father that kills children for pocket's sake. Now, do you really think that the Pharaoh cares about whoever this person was that, this son took out in one blow? Do you think he would be proud of such a mighty son? Or was it more that Moses, or was it more? Was it what Moses saw that day? Was it just him trying to genuinely help a man in trouble? Or was it the straw? Was it the straw that broke the camel's back? Did he try to save a man? Or did he see his chance to strike out with fury and vengeance? This is a man that probably didn't deserve it. Do you think he's aware that he was born in hell? Do you think his mother kept his lineage from him? Did he know that he was just a poor family from across the town living in the king's house? A child of the very king that slaughtered his people. They are just another person that broke the king's law. And if anyone asks too many questions, but this could be the burning. This could be burning. This could mean burning at the stake and eaten for dinner. This is our history. If Moses' dad finds out who he really is, he must, by law, kill him. Correct? And to be in the very house of the king, knowing the punishment for being born. What will be the fate of him when this comes to bear? This is a thought that he must have been living with for years. Some kids today are rebellious and have problems with their parents. I hope that you can truly get over those problems. Imagine every person that bows to you, cooks for you, teaches you, could be the very blade that turns you inside out. Moses, the Outlaw. Part 3. I'm just going to keep going. I'm not going to pause it. I got 30 minutes here. Let's see how far we can get. Moses, the Outlaw, Part 3. The Walk. 40 years later. Well, here we are again, walking in the desert. God said he destroyed the world by fire next time. And we're a long way from any gardens. Green, lush, fertile gardens that God is so proud of, right? Seems to be all but gone. Now, Exodus 1:22. And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, every son that is born ye shall cast into the river, and every daughter you shall save alive. You wish and hope that there was some fatherly bond that would save Moses from certain death. However, the ruler wasn't so keen on keeping Moses alive. So on the run, walking through the desert, he finds himself at the end of his strength. Soon as he sat down by a well, a priest named Midian had several daughters, and he helped those daughters water their flock, which made them come home early for dinner. And the father asked them, Midian, why are you guys here so early? And the daughters answered him and said, well, it was, we had ran into Moses. There was a man at the well and he helped us follow the flock. Well, the father told them to get Moses and bring him here. And then he married Moses. Excuse me. Zipporah. And the daughter, that was Exodus. That was all Exodus 1. This is Exodus 2, verse 20. And he had a daughter. Exodus 2:21. And Moses was content to dwell with the man. And he gave Moses Zipporah, his daughter. One verse later. And she bare him a son. And he called his name Gershom. For he said, I have been a stranger in a strange land. So, just as Abraham, we skipped his 6-day walk from to sacrifice his son. It took 3 days to get there, 3 days to get back, but none of that is in the record. Now we have Exodus 2:21. Moses dwelled with the women and the men, the priest that he helped get them water. And the very next verse is that priest gave his daughter to Moses, and they got married and had a daughter named Gershom. Now, that's we skipped the entire relationship and the birth and the pregnancy of these two people. It goes from him walking through the desert to meeting Gershom to meeting Zipporah, marrying Zipporah, and having a child in one verse. So, find those records. For the next 40 years, he lives as a farmer, as the son of this preacher. This is where he was for 40 years. The son of a preacher. While he walks in the desert, he sees one day, he's walking through the desert and sees a bush on fire, yet it was not burning. In most Bibles, you will see the words just highlighted in red, for they are the exact words of Jesus Christ. However, these words are the exact words of God, except they are spoken to Moses only. It is upon those that follow after God's ways and listen to discern the truth and follow after righteousness. We're not separate from God. God has not forgotten about you. However, sometimes God will remove his presence from our awareness. We can't see or hear him, but don't believe for a second that things have gotten better. They're worse. We have direct contact with the Creator of all. He guides us personally, hand in hand, except when we leave or take our hand away by doing evil or wrong. God is always there for those that are with him. God speaks to all men, and any man, and every man that is known. What you're thinking when people say they talk to God is rainbows and unicorns riding on clouds, then a magic golden scroll unraveling that gives you candy. Not true. No true communication with God is the conviction. No, the true communication with God is the conviction in your heart. When you see a man begging for food, when you give a person out in the cold your coat, when you provide blankets and meals for the needy, God will place weights on your heart to go out and give and be what He needs you to be. Sometimes the feeling to pray for someone can make all the difference of life and death. So when Moses begins to hear the Lord loud and clear, he was only telling him to do what every person in Egypt already wanted to do. Be the king we need. Take action and kill Pharaoh. Moses kills Pharaoh. Part 4. And Moses answered and said, Behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken to my voice. For they will say, The Lord hath not appeared unto thee. The story of Moses is quite compelling. This chapter is 2 of 40. I will change you. I will challenge you to not only listen to this book, but watch the 10 Commandments movie. Charlton Heston's 10 Commandments is a timeless classic. I have a few older documentaries and info tubes that you must watch, but look in the description for the link for this one. The Exodus begins where Moses takes a stick and the power of God defeats on the most greatest superpowers defeats one of the most greatest superpowers this world has ever known. Leviticus 3:17. It shall be a perpetual statute for your generations throughout all your dwellings, that ye eat neither fat or blood. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If a soul should sin in ignorance against any of the commandments of the Lord concerning things which ought not be done, and shall do any of them, and if the priest that is anointed do sin according to the sin of the people, let him bring for his sin, which he hath sinned, a young bullock without blemish unto the Lord for a sin offering. If you sin against the Lord, there is forgiveness. Most think that Leviticus is a law. However, this is a way out from what you have done wrong. It is a remedy, a chart for sicknesses and sin and problems and mistakes. There is a way to forgive and atone for all that you've done wrong. This changes the people from a punishment society to a forgiving society. God gives Israel instruction for how to keep their bodies, their minds, and soul in the proper condition for uprightness and holiness. God gives the people knowledge on how to become near, close, and one with God. Sojourners. The apple, the garden, Cain and Abel, the flood, the time of Abraham, Sodom and Gomorrah, the Tower of Babel, Joseph, the captivity of the children of Israel. Now, walking hand in hand with God, walking hand in God, one more, except this time, he's a pillar, we're walking with God one more time. Now walking hand in hand with God one more time, except this time, He is a pillar of fire. It sounds like a lot's on fire to me. Now he can sojourn this way with the Lord. Now don't think it matters to him that we are late with prayers, forgetting his name, and we don't give a tip. We must be the worst customers in existence. You want to follow after strange gods, have sexual immorality, and shed the blood of the innocent. Well, we can't journey that way. Come through this fire so I can change you back into your innocent self, the one that needs and depends on the Lord. See, these people think it's just them and the Lord. However, he has been planning this since the beginning, the day we are with him once more. The story of Moses shows us a glimpse of what is to come. There is so much more to see and know from these records that it is hard to grasp at the first reading. If they didn't believe and trust in Moses, we would have none of this. The most significant portion of this word to me is that the fact that on the mountain of Sinai, God actually reveals himself to Moses. He did it to Abraham, but this time it was different. He wasn't allowed to look upon his face, or he would surely die. However, God walked past Moses and showed him his backside. For a moment, God revealed himself again once to humanity after almost 300 years. Why would he do this unless he plans to one day walk with our kind in the physical realm? If we try to find God ourselves, we would be so big. We would be like a speck of dust. He would be so big. We would be like a speck of dust. See, he is like in the center of a sun. Or he'd be so vast, we'd be like a speck on his cloak. Like the deepest and coldest regions of our universe is like the fold of his garment. However, God has the power to come to us, and any that he chooses. He chooses Moses to lead his people, to make his mark, to create these traditions, to remember the day that the Lord came back into our lives and saved us from certain death. He gave us new lives, new lands, new hope. And I want you to personally read the first 15 chapters of Leviticus and pay no attention to the law. Look at how many times the phrase, "and if," is placed in this book. Not only does God group sins together in a hurry, his solution is always the same. Bring livestock. Bring food. I think God likes barbecues because he's always going on about a sweet savor. We will go over these chapters personally so I can show you and have you listen to the aroma and the smell that he finds so pleasing when you actually cook these meats on the altar and share them and pass them around. The whole book is almost like a meat market. So why is all this meat? Maybe if there's a little sin, there will be a little meat. With all these people just getting out of slavery, they're saints now for sure, right? I can only surmise that all this sacrificing was to teach the children how to treat meat. I think that God is here for the spirit. But I must reiterate that God is here for all of your needs, especially the physical needs. when the ways of your people are unclean, he really means that's dirty. Don't drink blood or fat. Wash yourself. Don't be literally dirty, you see? And while we are on the subject of cleanliness, let's go over these 10 commandments. Before we start, let me say this. The children of Israel knows the difference between a law and a command. See, citizens follow laws. Soldiers follow commands. In 1, you shall have no other gods before me. 2, you shall make no idols. 3, you shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. 5, keep the Sabbath day holy. Excuse me, this is 5. Honor thy father and mother. Do not commit adultery. Do not steal. You shall not murder. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. And you shall not covet thy neighbor's wife or property. Now this doesn't sound like a general giving commands, and more like my dad when he's about to whoop my little butt. See, as people, we skip over this like, okay, yeah, I got it. But out of all of the things a God can say to a man, see, I'm the creator. What if I'm the creator of all existence? I created you, you know. Every fiber of your being, your hair, your head, every hair in your head was delicately placed by me. I gave you your name and this world to enjoy. I created the water and streams and lakes and rivers, the dirt and sands and lands and mountains and the mud. I created space and the spaces between the spaces and spaces, all for you to explore and enjoy. And I had to come back and stop in real quick, and I had to come here to you in the flesh to tell you that you should stop killing people. See, the 10 commandments are all that guide us as we keep it like a law and punish people with it. However, let me read this to you once more with the compassion that you need to accept this with. These 10 laws point out a message that is too clear today. Hello, son. I'm reaching out to you with this letter because our visits have been cut off by you and our normal lines of communication are not working. Since the last time we have talked, I've heard that you've only been getting into more trouble. I hope and pray that things are okay. Now, I didn't mean to argue with you. However, you're gone and I can't help. See, that hurts, and I want to do more for you, but I can't, and that hurts. I know you think that you're being responsible and paying your debt to the society by being in jail. However, this is not the case. Having your body locked away does not make your mind and your heart listen. You've grown out of control. Your ways and your deeds have proven that you can't have the freedom that everyone else possesses. Your mind and your heart are still taken by evil and corruption. I don't want to throw what you did back in your face. However, the remedy for you, the remedy for your life, is directly connected to who you were when you did these things. In order to find a way out and deal and heal, you will need to find out and study the behaviors you were doing, why you did them, and then turn from those ways back to the ways that I taught you, your father's ways. Stealing and killing is wrong. big whoop. However, thinking about doing wrong is a worse crime with the Lord. Iniquity, using your mind, your heart, your body, your senses, your faculties to thinking about harming or stealing or killing is a crime of the utmost. God made you to know good and evil, right from wrong. If you turn that inside to a persona of evil, is that not a murdering spirit? Your own, at least. You can't think, plan, plot, study, or work any evil out ahead of time. You can't think, plot, plan, study, or work any evil out ahead of time. That will lead you to death and hell, like where you're at right now. You're in a place that any wrong movement can have you slain or have your life taken. You are with the lawless. You are in a lawless land devoid of God. This place exists. You make your bed there. You make your bed there right now. But there is a way out. You can rise tonight, right out of that prison, into the light of God's presence. I know this sounds dumb, but it starts with Saturday. When you push as hard as you do, and you don't seem to think things need to be broken up. You never spent time for yourself. You never had a day off. You never took a Sabbath. Now, how are you going to make time for the Lord if you don't make time for yourself? And you don't tell me that there is not enough time. We have the same 24 hours a day, the same 7 days a week, and the same 30 days every single month, every single year. You don't tell me that you don't have time. Time is consistent. You don't not have time. You make the time. This is a priority. Your Sabbath. It's your mouth. You say too many things in vain. You say everything in vain. Things that hurt. Things that you don't mean. The words in your speech are like daggers through my heart, burning oil down my throat. If you take the Lord, your God's name in vain, what does that say about the rest of your speech? Don't take the Lord, your God's name in vain. Don't speak to your wife and your family like that. That's what I'm saying. When was the last time you were at a family function? Your parents birthed you. We all celebrated by bringing our offspring together from time to time. We call them holidays. See, we need to see you there. And you need to see us. Having a big family and having the opportunity to see each other, that's a gift. And we respect that gift by doing it often. If we do, we get stronger. If we don't, we get weaker. So just how you are now, so weak, and you can't get home. Honor your family. Honor your father and mother. God's promise is long life and things going well with you. Look, the lying, the cheating was just the tip of the iceberg with you. Your wife and your kids are distraught. They may never recover or have a full life because of your actions. You have brought me to the full shame, and I cannot hardly show my face anywhere unless you can come about right